Hey, Sunday night soul timers. How are you doing? So, we are going to do a bit of check in. We started at the beginning of the year and we've been really focused on this whole idea of how do you get out of survival mode and into thriving mode. And when we began the year, we talked about our foundations, like what we're doing for self care, how we're creating space, how we're making room, right? Because if you're overscheduled, if you are constantly in my worth is what I produce, and you're producing, and in that energy, it's very challenging to practice what we've been talking about the last couple of months, living in this intentional way, getting set on what you want, writing intentions, manifesting what you want, and getting out of this reactive state of being. Look, it's really important work. If you are just reacting to life, you are likely like on the hamster wheel, just going, feeling like a victim to your life, feeling trapped by your life. That is survival mode. So if you're in any of that, really spend time, if you haven't yet, watching some of the past Sunday Night Soul Times to get into an intentional way of living. But at the same time, many of us are kind of fighting a paradigm that doesn't work. And the problem's a big one. It's a collective problem. If you look at the rates of burnout, if you look at, the collective human experience, like what we're choosing to experience as society, there's never any time to go within. There's never any peace. It's never enough. We are living in this scarcity survival mentality that we've all chosen to collectively experience for I won't get too deep or spiritual on you for a variety of reasons, but that's where we are. So, for me, I had to kind of exit the matrix. That's why I left the corporate world, because I too was trying to figure out how to have a life that was thriving, like within that paradigm. And I struggled. Right. And I'm not saying you need to leave and struggle, but at the end of the day, what I want to remind you of is you have a choice. You have a choice to create space. It might not be all the space you want, but create some. Create some. Because if you're not creating space for yourself, and again, I promise you, it's a choice. You can create more space than you have right now. Sometimes it's some tough decisions, but if you're intentional about that, you can create the room to then perhaps birth some of those manifestations in a quicker way that are going to help, offset some of the things that you're experiencing now. So my purpose of the Sunday Night Soul Time is I just want you to do a check-in. We are in April, or I think we're in April now, are we? I don't even know. Crazy. We're in April, right? So, soon it's going to be like halfway through the year. Are you making time for yourself this year? Are you choosing to do differently? Or are you just going in that same hamster wheel? And look, I would look at what are the small choices I can make. And if there's big choices you need to make, maybe there are. The last job I had was the best life balance I ever had. And it was the most money I ever made in the most senior position I have. So those jobs are out there. If you have, tried everything you can to create boundaries, say no, and you are still working, 10 hours, you don't have a time, it might be, needing to look at something else. It might be a big decision. It might need to be getting more help. Maybe we need to move and be closer to family. I don't know. Right. But like there might be, big decisions if some of the smaller ones that aren't solving it. But in the meantime, I want to encourage you to look for ways to create space by making small changes. Small changes. I'm a big believer when we're talking about behavioral change, when we're talking about things like boundaries, when we're talking about things like saying no more, is look for the easy wins. Look for just the 5 minutes. Look for the easy and simple ways. 5 minutes more a week for yourself to sit and do even 5 minutes of breath work. Great. Do not get into black and white polarity thinking. I can't do 20 minutes of meditation, so I'm going to do none. I can't get 45 minutes of exercise, and so I do none. Look for the small pieces. So look for small ways to create space, because the more space you have for you, the more intentional you're able to get, the more you're able to create the life you love, the more you're able to employ a lot of the work we've been doing together so far this year. So how can you create space? And if there are big changes that need to be made that you've just been avoiding, definition of insanity, doing the same thing, expecting a different result, Maybe it's time to put a goal in terms of timing and decision around some of those. You don't have to live the way you've been living. You don't. You always have a choice. There's always options. I will say the universe wants you to be happy. The universe wants you to be abundant. The universe wants you to be healthy. The universe wants you to have time for yourself. The universe wants you to thrive. The universe's intention for you is not to be in a constant state of survival mode, having health problems, burning out, all the things. But you have to make choices. And sometimes those choices aren't easy. So I want to invite you to this week. Like, if there are big choices you've been avoiding, that, they've been percolating, like, God, I've been avoiding, I think I have to look for a new job. I think whatever it is, just write them down and write an intention around that and pray on it. Ask for guidance and support on it, but at least get it down on a piece of paper. At least acknowledge it. And then maybe set some timing to that and say, if in 4 months things haven't changed, I'm taking some action on that. It will make you feel so much better to stop avoiding it, to acknowledge that this is something you've been avoiding, and just write down, I know this needs to be looked at. I'm giving myself 4 more months to think about whether or not I'm going to take action. If nothing changes, I'm taking action in 4 months. Okay. So get the big things down on paper. If you've been in survival mode for years now and things aren't changing and you're hitting a breaking point, write down what are big changes I could consider. I'm not even saying take any action, to consider. And then in the meantime, look for small ways to create space. I have 3 things notes here. I'm going to make sure I look. Okay. So number 1, look for things to say no to. Have a saying no goal per month. I'm saying no to at least 5 things this month, or 2, whatever feels achievable and doable. Have a weekly saying no goal. That will help you create space. Number 2, when you create some of that space, use that 20 minutes of self-reflection a day, not exercise, self-reflection, where you sit and journal, you sit and meditate, you sit and pray, something where it's just you going within. That is so good for your nervous system. Again, not exercising. And it is so good to help you get intentional and start to create more space in your life. And the third one, just look at new boundaries you can create within the workspace. Look, I've tried to do it too. I'm trying to hold an hour lunch a week. Okay, maybe not doable. Can you have an hour lunch 2 days a week? What can you look for the little wins? Look for the little wins. So again, doing a check-in with you. We're almost in April, and I'm seeing it in the women's purpose community. I'm seeing it everywhere. It's like we've gotten busier than even before COVID. Something's going on. And I don't want to speculate on the purpose behind it, but I think sometimes we have to be shaken awake and collectively say, this doesn't work. I want to choose different. And as we each choose different, then we collectively choose different, and we collectively create perhaps a new paradigm, one that actually serves us a little bit better. So again, to recap, what are big decisions you've been avoiding? Write them down. You don't have to take action on them, but say, things don't change in 4 months, I'm considering. And then look for small ways to create more space. A saying no goal, 20 minutes of self-reflection a day. It can be morning or at night. I don't care time of day, but it has to be where you're going, journaling, meditating. And then look for new, even smaller boundaries. I'm sorry, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I take an hour lunch. No, it's not negotiable. Whatever it is, something. Sometimes you just have to push back. Sometimes you just have to assert yourself. Do they want you on leave for 2 months because you're burnout? No. So don't be afraid to also have those tough conversations and assert what you need. And you have to advocate for yourself. You're the only one that will. You have to. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of women struggle right now. And I want you to take care of your health. I want you to thrive. I don't want to see you in this energy. I've been in that energy. It's not fun. It's really challenging. And I don't ever want to see anyone there. So I love you all. Sending you so much love. If I can do anything to help or support you, don't hesitate to reach out. Even if we don't know each other, I will help you in any way I can. Beautiful week. Wishing you the best. Bye for now.